Hey guys, what is going on? This is Travis P11. Welcome to the new studio, and I am joined by
Gun Bunny P11.
Gun Bunny P11's here, and she's joining us for the cleaning of this H&K VP9, which was generously donated to the channel for a cleaning care of Defense Dad. So shout out to Defense Dad for loaning us the pistol. And today we're going to take you through the basic disassembly, cleaning, and reassembly of this pistol. So Gun Bunny, before we get started, let's just pretend this was your gun, Gun Bunny. What kind of questions would you ask about this? What would you like to know?
So I guess my first question is, how often would you clean your gun?
Okay, that's a good question, and that's a question I get a lot in these videos, and I do intend these cleaning videos for beginners, but if you're somebody that owns this gun and you've never taken it apart before, we're going to show you what to do. I recommend taking it apart and cleaning it before you take it to the range the first time, so you can inspect it, make sure that everything is okay inside, put it back together. I do clean my guns after every range trip just because I want them clean, ready to go. But you could potentially put quite a few rounds through it, you know, to the point that the gun starts to malfunction. But honestly, I do it every range trip.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, today we'll take you through some of the basic cleaning supplies we're going to be using, and I'll talk about what I use for lubricant and so on. So first things first, when you clean it, we've got some Aegis Gun Care gun lubricant, and Gun Bunny's going to be showing that off. So I've used a lot of different cleaners on the channel. And I like Aegis Gun Care. They've got the lubricant, and they've also got the cleaner, which acts like basically a degreaser. And if you use discount code TravisP11 with the link down below, you will save 10% off your products, and you're also going to help the channel. And you can also buy these all-in-one kits that have everything you need inside the box. We've also got some Q-tips here, well, some cotton swabs. I've got some wooden ones, which tend to stay together a little bit better. But you could also use some regular cotton swabs if you want to. There's just a basic cleaning rod here that comes with a pistol. This comes with a Glock. You might get one with your pistol. A toothbrush, and this kind of caught your attention, Gun Bunny. What do you think? What was your question about the toothbrush?
Is there a specific type of soft brush, hard brush? Does one do better than the other?
Okay, so yeah, I tend to use a soft toothbrush, and this is just cheaper than buying a gun brush. So when I'm done with the toothbrush, it just becomes a gun brush, and so it just saves a little bit of money down the road. I like to use soft bristles because it won't scratch anything. It just gives you a nice clean, but it's not too abrasive. And then to clean the barrel, we're actually going to be using a bore snake, but you could just use the cleaning rod if you want to, and some of your cleaning rods will have bristles on them, or you can screw in a 9mm bore brush and you can run that through the barrel, and we'll take you through the whole process. Also, you can use these little cotton patches, which I get at Shields. You can also cut apart an old cotton t-shirt if you want to and make squares out of it, and you can use that to clean it up. So we'll go ahead and get this cleaning kit out of the way, and I think we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that the firearm is in fact unloaded. So what you want to do is grab the firearm, finger off the trigger, press this button right here to release the magazine. Okay, magazine is empty. If the magazine had any ammunition in it, obviously you'd want to push that off to the side. And then to check the receiver to make sure that there's no ammunition in the firearm, all you have to do is pull back, verify that the gun is unloaded. It is. Now what we want to do first thing is lock the slide back before we take the slide off. It's pretty simple. So you're going to pull back on the firearm and push up on this slide release / slide stop right here. And I'll let you guys argue in the comments if you think it's a slide release or a slide stop, because you guys always seem to. And then to take this particular pistol apart, it's very simple. All you have to do is press down on the slide lever. And then after that, you're going to grip the slide, grip the handle, pull back, release, and then push forward, and your slide is going to come off. So as you can see, the gun's a little bit dirty. It's not too bad, and we're going to go through it and get it all cleaned off, and we're going to show you where to put the oil and how to do further disassembly on the pistol. We're also going to start off by cleaning the magazines, and I'll give you some important pointers that you want to know when it comes to cleaning the magazines. So hang tight. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just put a couple drops of lubricant. We're not actually going to use the degreaser. We're going to put a couple drops of lubricant on a patch. You don't need a lot, just a few. Regardless of what you're using, obviously I recommend the Aegis lubricant because it works great. And we're just going to go ahead and wipe off the magazines. So you want to make sure that you keep the magazines basically lubricant free when you're done. You want to keep the lubricant off your ammunition. And that's just because it can ruin your ammunition if you're not careful. It can get in there and it can deaden your primer so that your ammunition doesn't go off when it needs to. Okay, so we're just going to wipe them off and set them off to the side. Now, notice I'm also wearing gloves. I highly recommend that you wear gloves when you clean your firearms because it'll keep the lead off your fingers, and also ensure that you keep your hands nice and clean and keeps all the gunpowder off of them and any of the chemicals that you might be using while you're cleaning off the firearms. And I know for the longest time in my videos I wasn't wearing gloves, and I was kind of setting a bad example by not doing so, but I recommend you do that now. Okay, now once you apply whatever lubrication you're using, in this case we're going to let this just sit for a moment, we're going to take a dry patch and we're going to go ahead and just wipe the magazines off and just set them off to the side. Obviously if they had ammunition in them, you'd want to make sure that they're empty so that there's no ammunition in them, because we don't want to get gun oil on the magazines. These are not super dirty, not a problem. You might have some oxidation that comes off on your patches. Maybe some paint will come off, and that's fine too. They'll just be nice and lubricated and ready to go for storage or use or whatever you decide to do. Okay, so Gun Bunny, you had some questions about the lubrication inside the gun. And again, these are common questions that people ask. What were you curious about with this?
So when you're applying the lubrication, is there any specific area not to put or over putting the lubrication itself?
Yeah, so lubrication is going to gather up lint and dust and crud. So the more lubrication you have just sitting inside the gun, the more likely it's going to be to track those things inside the gun, which kind of can clog the gun up. So just very light lubrication all across the board. You want to make sure you don't pour lube into the trigger mechanism in the rear or up in the front. Also, you want to make sure that you don't get any lubrication in the slide channel right here. So you want to be careful about that too. You can overdo it, and we're going to try not to apply too much lubrication. Now, one of the big differences is we'll be applying this solvent before we put the lube on the gun, and I'm going to show you guys where to apply it. And then also, Gun Bunny, you want to be careful because this is going to be under tension. So when you pull that out, you want to make sure that it doesn't shoot off the back of the barrel. And see how it's all together in one piece? So this is what we call a captive guide rod. So that means that when you take it out, the spring stays on the guide rod. There are some guns where that spring will just shoot right off. There's just basically a guide rod that it sits on, but this is all together as one piece. So we're just going to set that off to the side. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. So the first thing that we want to do is just take a little bit of the solvent and we're going to spray that on the tissue. Now it can be a little bit strong. So we're going to apply this on a couple of the patches here. Okay. And then you're just simply going to pop your barrel out of your slide like that, pops right out. Now Gun Bunny, you see how we're kind of missing some of that finish right there? See how it's not completely black, it's a little bit lighter in color?
Yes.
So these are areas that you want to make sure that you apply your lubrication. Any place that has some finish missing, that's going to show you that there's metal to metal contact, and those are places where you definitely want to make sure that you apply your lubrication. So we're going to apply the solvent. Now with this Aegis Gun Care solvent, you have to let this stuff soak in for a minute or two before you wipe it off and then apply the gun oil. So this is actually acting as like a degreaser. It's going to soak into the pores of the metal, and it's going to suck out the carbon and all that fouling and so on. Now we're also just going to go ahead and apply a little bit more to a patch, 1 or 2 sprays. Now if you're using like a CLP cleaner, like an all-in-one, this is just going to be 1 step for you, but this is 2 steps for us because we got the solvent and we have the cleaner. Now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and take the cleaning rod with your patch and just press it down on the barrel, like such. Just pull it through a couple times, pull it back if you want to, push it through again. And we're going to let that soak in there for a few minutes, and then we're just going to push through a patch of oil, and we're all set to go. So we're going to set that off to the side. Okay. And then grab another patch. We do use a lot of patches on here because we're going to kind of keep things going. We want to keep everything clean. And then just wipe out the inside of the slide with your solvent, and you can see that's going to pull off all that gunpowder and all that fouling. And then you simply just wipe it around. We're going to also apply some to a Q-tip and go through some of the channels. Now you don't want to spray the solvent directly in here. I like to just apply it to all the surfaces that possibly come in contact with the barrel. You don't want to get in there because it acts as a degreaser. You want to make sure that you have lubricant in the areas that are supposed to have it. Okay, so we'll simply get that in there. Looks pretty good. I'm also going to throw some of these away as we go on. Now go ahead and take your Q-tip and apply just a little bit of solvent to the Q-tip or your cotton swab, and then you want to run that through these channels down here, and that's going to get all that muck and grime out of that slide as you're doing the work. Now you can do this a couple times if you want to, depending on how dirty they are. This one's pretty dirty, so we're going to let that one go through, and then we're going to hit it with a clean Q-tip and pull that out. There you go. You can see how it's pulling out more gunpowder. It's all coming off on the Q-tip. And that's also how that solvent works. That gets in there and that breaks up all that gunpowder. And then we're also going to take a Q-tip and go to the rear and wipe out any little channels that are in here that might have some gunpowder and fouling in them, and there's a little bit going on right there too. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now we're also going to go ahead and take 1 or 2 sprays of solvent, and we're going to go ahead and wipe off the outside of the slide, and that's going to take off any oil, fingerprints, gunpowder, and so on that might be on there. Now this will dry out the metal, and so you want to make sure that you do apply some lubricant when you get done with it, which we'll do at the very end. And you want to make sure you don't apply too much. You don't want the gun just dripping with gun oil, obviously. There we go. Okay, it's looking pretty good. If you want to, you can take your brush and spray some solvent on it and brush that front area where that firing pin is, but this is looking pretty clean, so I think we're good to go. Okay, then we're going to go and just take that patch with the solvent on it. We're going to go ahead and wipe off the recoil spring and the guide rod. So Gun Bunny, what do you think? Is this pretty complicated? Can you handle this?
Seems pretty clear.
All right. You any questions popping up right now, or are you good?
Nope, just very tedious.
Yeah, a little bit. Now right here, okay, what I like to do is to spray. And there's a lot of people that'll take their guns to the range and they'll do 1,000 rounds before they clean it, or 500 rounds before they clean it. But to me, the more that you do that, the more cleaning you got to do when you get it back. So I've always been just a clean it after you get back from the range kind of guy. Now for the frame, we're just going to wipe off the frame. Again, more solvent on the patch. Just get in there, wipe it out. Clean out the handle a little bit. You might have some debris that gets in there too. There we go. Now again, this is where your Q-tips are going to come in very handy, because you can really get in there where you've got all these little edges and you might not be able to get your fingernails in there. So again, just grab another patch and spray over the patch. Okay. With your solvent. Now if you got your CLP lubricant, you could use that if you want. We're going to go in some of these channels here on the sides. Just wipe that out to make sure there's no gunpowder in there. Now this gun is pretty clean. It is fairly clean. I don't know how many rounds Defense Dad put through it before he shot it, but it's really not that dirty, so your mileage may vary. But it does have some carbon fouling on it, not a whole lot, but it's looking pretty good for the most part. Just kind of go over it, just in general. There we go. And again, this is kind of degreasing it and taking all that carbon off of it. You can also start to see some areas of wear going on right here where there's maybe some paint that's starting to disappear. There we go. Okay, and believe it or not, we're already at the point where we are ready to reassemble the firearm and apply our lubricant and go from there. All right, guys, so we are ready to continue, and we do need to lubricate the barrel here, the inside of it. So what we're going to do is just put a couple drops of lubricant on a patch, and you can use your cleaning rod and just simply push through a couple times. And that's going to just ensure that you have decent lubrication in there. Now the other thing I'm going to show you is how to use a bore snake, just in case you want to do that. You can do that in place of basically running the solvent and the lubricant down the barrel. Bore snakes are pretty simple to use. This is a 9mm bore snake. To clean this, I've been told you can actually just use warm soapy water with them, some Dawn, and then just basically let them air dry and you're good to go. I've had some people say that you can put them in a dishwasher. I've never done that before. I don't recommend it because I think it would be kind of rough on the bristles and stuff. But anyway, what you want to do is put a couple drops of oil in back and a couple drops of oil in front of this section of bore snake that has the bristles on it. Okay, and then you simply pull from the back of the barrel to the front. You always want to pull the debris out the front of the barrel and just whiz it through a couple times and you're good to go. Now there are some people that say that this is not the same thing as using a traditional cleaning brush and solvents and all that stuff, and I'm not going to disagree with you, but I use bore snakes almost exclusively and I've yet to notice a lot of fouling in the barrel or any issues with accuracy. I think you're going to be fine in my own personal opinion, but as usual, you do you, doesn't matter. There we go. Okay, so that's all good. Okay, now we're just going to take the bore snake and just set that off to the side. We'll put that away. Okay, now we begin the process of basically lubrication and reassembly. All right, so just put a couple drops of lubricant on your patch. You don't need too much. Go ahead and grab yourself a cotton swab and put a drop or two of lubricant on there. These guns can really operate with not a lot of lubricant. The more you have on there, just the more likely it's going to be to get dirty and catch a lot of debris and stuff. So we're just going to wipe out the inside of the slide, wipe off the bottom of the slide. Anything that's kind of a surface that comes in contact with metal, just go and wipe it off. And notice that we got some more fouling that's coming off, and that's normal. It's going to break up that grease. There we go. Going to wipe off the front of it where the firing pin comes out right here. Wipe off the top of the slide, and we'll hit this one more time when we get done here. There we go. Okay. All right. It's ready to go. Go ahead and wipe off the barrel. Make sure it's got some oil on it, just a little bit. I also like to make sure we have just a little bit of oil in this little channel right here, this little area. So we're just going to put a little whiz of lubricant in there on the front also. There we go. Okay, now at this point, we're going to go ahead and just drop your barrel back in the slide. Such. Okay, and again, I like to use a lot of patches in these videos, but you could probably get a lot more mileage out of your own if you're doing your own cleaning. But anyway, go ahead and wipe off your guide rod and guide rod spring. Okay, so we're going to hit this one with the wet patch, and then we're going to hit it with just a dry patch. Just take off any excess lubricant. We're just basically here to clean it. Now again, any excess oil that's on the gun when we get done with it, it is okay to go ahead and wipe that off. It's not a big deal. Now to put the guide rod back in, you're going to push it back into the front of the barrel as such, and there's a little divot that's in here. There's a little half moon cut right here in the back of the barrel, and you're going to be able to just lock that back into place, and that's it. And you're going to be all set to go. There we go. And so you want to make sure that it looks like this, that your guide rod is flat, and it's not at an angle up or down, and you're going to be sitting pretty good. I also want to put just a little tiny bit of lubricant in this channel right here, and also just kind of on the top. There we go. Okay, now something I like to do, and this is just, you can decide if you want to do this or not, but drop a lubricant on your Q-tip again, and just go ahead and run it down the channels inside the slide. There you go. Just make sure you have a little bit of lubricant in there, so that there's a little bit of lubricant in those channels. Okay, you're all set to go there. Okay, now on the frame, again, a little more lubricant on your Q-tip, and a little bit of lubricant on your patch. And just go ahead and wipe out anything that's got metal. Just go ahead and wipe it off with your lubricant. You're going to be okay there. Just a little bit. There you go. Not really getting deep into the frame, just kind of wiping things off a bit. There you go. Okay, it's all set to go. Now go ahead and take your Q-tip and hit under the channel here where the slide is going to ride. Get your lubricant in there. Okay, in the back. Okay, get in the front. There we go. Then also up on the top here where the slide is going to ride. Make sure you have some up there, just kind of all over the top here. You're fine. It's just one drop. It's not going to hurt anything. Towards the rear of the frame. Right here and right here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and reassemble the firearm, and we'll just do some dry fires to ensure that the firearm is functioning properly. Alright, so Gun Bunny here has been an incredible assistant to have during this video, so I want to thank Gun Bunny P11 for being in this one. Gun Bunny, what do you think? You ready to start cleaning all the firearms?
I think I'll keep watching for a while.
That's fine, Gun Bunny. Alright, so now what we want to do is just go ahead and take the slide, and you're going to slide it back on the frame. Okay. And what you can do is pull back on the slide, okay, a little bit. You can grip it about this much, and then flip up that takedown lever. There you go. So we're going to pull it back and lock it. Take your takedown lever, press it up, like that. Release. Go ahead and check it a couple times. Okay, ensure the firearm is unloaded, and it is. Go ahead and dry fire it. Check your reset. Okay, and you are basically good to go. So again, guys, make sure you check out that link for the Aegis Gun Care gun cleaning products. I've been very happy with them. I've been using them for over a year now. They work really, really good. Like I said before, go ahead and take your patch and remove any excess oil, and this gun is ready to go back to Defense Dad. So I'll put a link to the Defense Dad channel at the end of this video. So make sure you guys check out his channel. He's got a lot of great videos going on over there. And Gun Bunny, what do you think? Are we all set? Should we call it a night?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay, guys. So this is Travis P11, joined by Gun Bunny P11. I want you guys to have fun. I want you to be safe. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys, and have a good one. Bye-bye.